Hey everybody, welcome to Beauty and Beard. I'm Troy,
I'm Chaka Burnett.
and we welcome you all to this podcast that we're doing today. Just want to let you all know, give you a heads up. This is mature content, and so you may want to be cautious as to if you want to share this with kids around. We are going to be talking about some topics that are sensitive to us, and we hope that you enjoy. And welcome back to Beauty and Beard. This is my co-host,
Chaka Burnett.
Shaka Burnett, and we have a very special podcast for everyone today. Um, the month of April, we are in the month of April right now, and prayerfully this will be released in the month of April. The month of April is considered National Infertility Awareness Month. And so that is based upon the CDC, right? CDC.gov.
The CDC says that the 19th through the 25th, I believe, is National Infertility Awareness Week.
Based upon the CDC, CDC.gov, it says that infertility is a common thing. And so about 6%, based upon something that look, I'm doing research. Your boy Troy did research, okay? And it says about 6% of married women aged 15 to 44 years in the United States are unable to get pregnant after 1 year of trying, and that is actually considered infertility. After one whole year trying, and you are not able to become pregnant, that is considered infertility. Also, about 12% of women aged 15 to 44 years in the United States have difficulty getting pregnant or carrying a pregnancy to full term, regardless of marital status. So that's what the CDC has to say about infertility. So you may be asking a question, Shaka, why are we talking about infertility today?
Well, if you posted our other couple of podcasts, we've been following a trend. So, and then again, it's National Infertility Month. So it's a great time to bring it to light. It's something that, like you said, a lot of couples deal with, not just, women, but a lot of couples deal with it. It's something that affects the family as a whole. And so that's one
Yeah,
of the
because
reasons.
infertility, I think it's sometimes it's thought about as just one person, like it's just a woman. But oftentimes, a good bit of times, infertility also deals with the husband or the male being unable to impregnate his significant other spouse. Yeah.
Yep.
And so part of the reason why we not only want to bring awareness to this, but this is a part of our story. Infertility has been a part of our story. Shaka and I have been dealing with this for how many years now? Probably what, 5?
It's going on 6.
Going
If
on
you
6? Okay.
really, we've actually been, it's been an issue for at least 8 years. But we have been intentionally trying for the last 6.
For the last 6 years, yeah. And so we just thought we want to share some light on this. To be quite honest with you, before getting into marriage, one of the things that we experienced, we knew other people have been dealing with infertility. You had some people close to you deal with infertility, and we're not gonna put that information out there, but and I myself, we've both had that. So we were aware of that before we got married. Actually, before we got married, one of the things we talked about the most was, it's like, yeah, we're gonna have kids. How many kids you want to have? And I don't remember how many I said. I said this. I don't want to have a football team, but I would like to have a starting 5 basketball team.
Woo.
So that's at least 5 kids. And then, if we have more after that, I got a 6th man or a woman.
This is the man who doesn't have to carry all those kids.
Tis true.
And that head.
And you know what? The funny thing about it is, talking about pregnancy, my mother sometimes, like a few years ago, she showed me her scar on her stomach. She's like, "You did this to me."
Exactly.
Hey,
all of the trauma that happens to a woman's body just to give birth. Oh my goodness. If you only knew.
Mama, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sure. So, so I had said that I wanted at least 3, no more than 4, which is really funny because at least and no more than. My thought for that was I have siblings and I absolutely love having more than just myself in the family. I like having a sister and a brother and stuff like that. Also, I come from very big families. There's at least 8 siblings on both sides. And I love having aunts and uncles.
Siblings on both sides. What do you mean?
I mean, like my mom.
Okay, so your mom
my
has.
dad, yes.
Okay, got you.
So, so I have a lot of aunts and uncles. So I absolutely love having a big family and cousins and things like that. And so I couldn't imagine not having children who could then have spouses and form this family of more aunts and uncles and things like that. But my thought was always, if I had a boy or a girl, I would go and try for another boy, girl, whatever, so I could have at least one boy, one girl, and then the third one, whatever it was, it would just be what it was. Up to 4 maybe, so that I could probably get the other gender if I didn't have it.
Yeah.
However, if this body popped out any twins in any given shot, we were done.
No.
Because the fact that twins were even possible, it would be my luck. We'd have 3 kids, and then on that 4th one, it would be twins or triplets or something like that. And
The
I was like,
twins
no.
I know in real life, they're hilarious, and I would definitely want more kids. If twins were a possibility, we'd have to try for another set of twins because the twins I know are hilarious.
Hey,
they are hilarious.
That's not a good reason. That's not, but.
So for me, kind of similar. My immediate family is a small unit, mainly comprised of just me, my mom. She has one brother, and my grandmother. That was us growing up. Now, at the same time, I do have 5 siblings. However, we didn't grow up together. In actuality, majority of us grew up as the only child. So I have a half brother and 4 half sisters. And I discovered them later on in life, and I love them. They're awesome. So that actually wasn't an influence on me having kids or me wanting to have kids. I just like kids. I remember growing up, I used to be picked on by my uncle, and the very same way that he treated kids is the exact same way that I treat kids. We just fight, and we fight, and we have tickle fights and stuff like that, and like to joke on them and pick on them and stuff like that. So that was my influence of wanting to have kids. And to be quite honest with you, there were a lot of teen pregnancies at my high school. And so, they would bring their kids around. It's like, oh, look at the baby. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can easily get baby fever in high school. Bless the Lord. That was not my case, because my life would be complete. Would you have dated me if I had a kid?
No. I told you that. I said if you already had a child, that would have made you a really amazing friend, but you would not have been a potential romantic interest.
But what if I dressed a kid like me, and we both looked, and like when we walked in the room, like we had that, little that father-son swag, you know what I'm saying?
No.
You wouldn't be attracted to the little Troy kid?
No. I am a stepchild, and it's amazing because I have an amazing dad, who.
Shout out to Alan.
Yes. He doesn't have any other kids, except for us. And so it's great because of all the time and the attention, and there's no other baby mama to deal with or anything like that. But me personally, I, having waited the way I did, I want our family to be our family, and just wanting to be able to take our relationship from beginning to the end in a way that I think I would have wanted to see a family. Having a stepchild would not have fit into that mindset for me, because that would have bought, again, a baby mama or someone, not saying that she would have been a baby mama type person, but it would have bought.
There would have been issues.
There's
always something.
Not issues. I think for me, it just would have, because that's assuming that that the mother is going to be dramatic. But it just would have created a completely different dynamic. And then, to be honest, getting to what we're going to tell everybody about what we've been dealing with, that would have made it much harder.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that would have been tough.
Yeah.
We did also agree on adopting.
We did. We actually, when we first got married, we had talked, well, before we got married, we talked about that, and we knew that we wanted that to be a part of our family growth.
Why did you want to, why was adoption an option for you?
I want to be able to offer a child a family. I want to be able to offer a child that doesn't feel the love or have the love, something that's stable and supportive, that could present as a forever family for that child. I don't think any child should be in the system to a point where they time out and that be, their introduction into the world. They leave and then they have to go struggle and find their own way.
I know adoption for me was an option because a lot of my family members have been adopted by other family members in the family, and
mine too.
Yeah. And so because we saw that a lot, we were like, it was like, kids stay with grandparents. I know some family members that stayed with cousins. And growing up, we didn't think anything different of it. You know what I'm saying? As kids, we was like, yeah, that's my cousin, that's my brother, whatever the case may be. They live over here, but we still treated each other the same. So yeah, adoption was always a thing for me too, as far as for growing up. So we wanted kids. We even talked about, before we got married, we talked about adopting, and then we got married. And in our marriage, Chaka presented the idea, hey, let's take the first couple years to focus on us, which was really important because we did our dating long distance. And so we didn't we used the first couple years to, we were not intentionally trying to get pregnant because we wanted to take the time to get to know one another. And I'm glad we did, because girlfriend, I think on a couple occasions you were thinking, you looked at me in my sleep and you wanted to choke me out or put a pillow over my head.
We were getting to know each other. I mean, like all new couples, and we were trying to get our bearing. And so when we first got married, Troy, you mind me telling, it was the first few months. When we first got married, I asked, and I'm going to tell it anyway.
I don't even know what you were about to say, so I'm excited.
We live with my mom.
Oh, we did. That needs to be a podcast.
Okay. We lived with my mother, and and so it was only for like the first 5 months or so, because Troy moved up from Virginia to Maryland, and he was looking for a job, and then he got a job, and we moved out. And so that kind of, I think that was the introduction of our relationship and of our marriage. And I think at that time, for us, it would have been irresponsible to bring a child in because we weren't yet on our own. And so once we got on our own and we knew that it was going to be stable, the job was confirmed. He was going to have it for a while, and we had a place of our own to live. At that point, we probably could have started. But again, we had been living with my mom. So it's almost like the moment we moved out, it's like we were starting our marriage all over again, because now it's really just us. Now we're really trying to see.
We got our own apartment.
Yeah.
Now.
And we're trying to see how we handle our finances together and how we communicate. And can we really handle all of this, on our own without any type of support or anything like that? So, I just wanted that time. I personally wanted that time to really kind of settle into marriage, settle into compromising, all the stuff that comes along with it.
And I think it was really necessary too.
Yeah.
We needed that time to get to know one another, because we knew each other as far as like talking on the phone, but we didn't get a chance to gel as far as like our living, like our lifestyle of living, because I'm tidy, but Chaka's OCD. And so, but the difference of the two
She gets
is
that from Jay.
Mama Jay is my mother-in-law.
That's
her
my mom.
I'm tidy, so I'll pick up stuff to make sure it's just not in the way. You know what I mean? But Chaka not only wants the stuff picked up, but she wants things like white glove, wipe across the counter, like type clean.
No. It is.
That's not true.
I know it's not true all the time. I I learned about Lean Six Sigma. So all you business people out there probably know what it is. But the idea is, and I mean, it's not that I learned about it and this is why I'm this way. It's nice when something has a term or something you can compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a place for everything and everything in its place. And so my idea is that whenever I go looking for XYZ, if I know that XYZ is always going to be in, this particular location, then I don't have to search for it. If you saw my closet is Roy G. Biv, which means, because I don't like to look for anything. I actually, side note, don't like flea markets, don't like Goodwill, don't like all the other stuff. Not because I cannot find a great find and not because of the quality of the clothes, but because I have to search. It's not organized. If I walk into a store, I'm looking for red, I want to be able to walk to the red section.
I used to go to I used to shop at Marshall's and Ross all the time. And then when cause it was the bomb for high school, get them deals. But man, I go there now and I hope I don't sound bougie, but it's hard for me to find the stuff that I want to because it's all just thrown together. Yeah. Now, she's Roy G. Bibb in the closet. I'm actually shorts, polos, button-ups, pants, and they don't have to be any type of color. They just in the category of what they are.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable. Mm-hmm. But Chaka's OCD comes in the problem when I'm ready to leave the house and I'm looking for my shoes and I can't find my shoes downstairs. So I say to myself, where are my shoes? Knowing I know where the shoes are. They're upstairs in the closet. And I just really don't understand that. If I leave something right there for the reason that I'm coming back to it.
Maybe in a couple of days.
Leave it alone.
No.
Leave it alone.
No. And my reasoning for that is literally, where should your shoes be? They should be in the closet. They should be where
I need them.
Not in the middle of the floor in front of the door. Literally.
I thought somebody stole my Jordans one day because I couldn't find them at the door where I had last left them, nor in the closet right beside the door as we're about to leave. I thought somebody stole my Jordans. Okay. The first pair of Jordans I bought
But he found them. And he's been wearing them and they're in the house. And so this is one of the reasons why we waited.
Yes, because we were trying to figure out how we gelled. And I highly recommend that. I recommend that the first years of marriage, man, you get to know one another, how you handle things and stuff like that, because the moment that you get a grasp of that, how to avoid landmines and stuff like that, and are able to be in one accord. Mm-hmm. And we still together. Notice I came the majority of the way because Chaka doesn't believe in. She believes I have to do everything. No, I'm just kidding. So, and so that was our whole part of. We spent the first few years getting to know one another, and then we were like, you know what? Let's go ahead and introduce a little Burnett into the world. And so we were active, and I remember a few times you were actually late, and you took a couple tests, and one time you took a test and you knew the result, but the way that you revealed it to me, I was like. I don't know exactly how to explain how I felt. But
so what was your response?
My response, I was disappointed because the way that you presented it, it was just like you were scared So I was like, if she's scared, then that means we about to have it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then you showed it to me. I was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, why did you present it like that?
Probably because I was actually disappointed.
Oh, you were?
I mean, if you think
the first time we took one, I thought you were scared because you didn't, because it was a few times you were like, Troy, no, I'm not trying, not right now, not right now. It was a few times.
Honestly, that's not my take on it, because I was taking birth control when we first got married. It's just one of those things that they tell you, if you're not ready to have children, this is what you do. And so I was taking birth control. So when we tried to have children, when we were ready in the first couple of years, I actually got off the birth control. And so I think I knew at any point I could be. Was I completely ready anytime? No, because in my mind, I was thinking of, am I prepared? My body's going to change. What am I going to do? I've never done this before, kind of things. You really, from the standpoint, at least of a woman, a lot of things starts going through your mind, because you realize that, for you're going to really have to start stepping up and doing things when the baby is ready to be born and when they're born and things like that. But there are days when you can take off. When a woman is pregnant, from the moment she conceives, her job is turned on. Everything she eats, everything she does, her stress level, her, her
hormones,
sleep, everything. Like, she really has to be calculated because she's taking care of another life. And so I was looking at my job and how tiring and stressful it was. And I was like, am I in a position? I worked in a lab. How am I going to be able to go in and out of the lab being pregnant? I had not yet seen a woman work at my job who was pregnant. And so,
did anybody at that job have a family?
Yes.
That was female.
Yes.
Because I know a couple dudes.
Yes, they did.
Oh, okay.
They did. And it was challenging for them because we didn't always get off in time. And so that was, but also I don't remember if anyone was ever pregnant when they were actually at our job. I think the ones who worked there had already had kids. Yeah.
So that was so fast forward, we move to we move and then we are super duper excited. We're like, all right, let's go ahead and try. And we tried for, like, intentionally, like we were doing, like, not, when I say we, I really mean Chaka. Chaka was doing everything. Like, she was taking the prenatal vitamins. You were trying to figure out the calendar, looking at the looking how the sun was arced at a certain angle. It was like, okay, that's that time of the day. We need to get it in. You know what I'm saying? And I was a willing participant. Specifically at the part where, when it was ready, I was like, you know what? All right. Okay. And so we did this for some time. And then nothing came about. What was going on through your mind during that time?
So during that time, I didn't know what to think. My thought was I probably still have some of the drugs in my system. And in this case, some of the birth control. There
yes,
you go.
I just want to make sure nobody jumps in and was like, drugs
I
in your
probably
system?
still have some of that in my system.
Right.
And so it probably is just going to take some time. Again, it's, probably just natural. It has to happen whenever it happens. And, people don't usually calculate it, and you hear just relax and don't stress. And I'm like, I'm probably overthinking it. So I really just thought it was nothing. It was just going to happen when it happened.
Yeah. And so we realized after some time we needed to probably follow up and go see a professional. And we did. And going through that whole process, we learned about some tests that need to be taken. I had to take a test for to check and make sure that I was my swimmers were swimming,
and also that you had a good concentration of them. That he didn't just have like 5.
And that's a very stressful thing. I'll be honest with you. Like, if if my testing is any fraction of what you were going through, then I can't imagine the things that were going on through your mind when you were trying to get your results, because we had to, first of all, get the specimen, then like hightail it out of town to get it across town to make sure that they had it for the lab. And I think we might have been running like maybe a few seconds late. And we were like, shoot, we're gonna have to do this again and all this type of stuff.
You only have an hour.
Right. You only have
about an hour window from the time that you collect to the time it gets to the lab.
Yeah.
So
my test came back, everything seemed okay, and everything was fine. And so then it was your turn to be tested.
Yep. And they do the guys test a lot of times first because it's less invasive, and it's just, if we can rule this out, why not?
And so then we came to the time when you got tested, and this was roughly around the time of, was this like 2015, 2016?
2014. I started the process in March of 2014. I went to see a gynecologist, and just for my regular checkup, and we decided on that date that we would just kind of, she would run some tests, and then that was the start of the process. From there, she determined that I was not ovulating. My body was going through all the symptoms and all of the process of having a menstrual, but no eggs were dropping. And so at that point, when the test came back and that was determined, I started on clomidine, which is a medicine to help you ovulate with the thought that my eggs would drop. And then anytime we tried to get pregnant, it would increase the chances, still. And so after, the first round, you come back and they test you to make sure that you actually did ovulate, and you kind of, I think, time it a little bit. And it said I was ovulating at that point, at least it tested. And so, but we didn't get pregnant, and you're allowed to do a couple of rounds of clomidine. I think it's like 3 months, in 3-month increments. You do have to take a break because I believe they said it could cause ovarian cancer, or it increases your risk, because anything that affects your hormones, really, and especially in your reproductive area, has a risk to it. So I did all the rounds that I was allowed for the year, and then nothing happened. So then literally on December 31st, if you remember,
of
2014, that morning we went to the hospital, and they did ultrasound, I think it was, or ultrasound, x-ray. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they put a dye in me, and they said, we want to see if your tubes are open. And they injected the dye into me, and then they had, the screen up, and they watched the fluid in both tubes. And that's when they saw that it did not go all the way up. It actually the dye only went a little way up in one tube and went part of the way up in the other. But what you want to see is the dye go all the way through the tubes and then release into your ovaries. And that's how you know that if that had been sperm, it would, go all the way through and actually get to an egg somewhere in there. And that's not what was happening. So that confirmed that my tubes, both of them, were actually blocked. And that's why, even with me ovulating, the egg and the sperm were never meeting.
And that was not an easy time.
No. So that was 2014.
Yeah, that day was quite rough.
So we were supposed to, I think, go out for New Year's Eve, like we were going to go to church or something. And we just decided to stay home. No, I think we actually did go went out.
We did go out
because I was like, what?
We were going to have. I don't even think we had plans, but we were like, we're just going to play it by ear. And it was a really sad day. It was a lot of tears between the two of us, a lot of praying during that time too. And we were sitting at home, and it was just seemed really sad. I don't even know what we were doing at the time. And I knew, I was like, we need to be in church, and for the purpose of, we need to be around people who are going to be praying for us, who are going to be, we need to be in prayer. We need encouragement and stuff like that. So we went to one of the local churches. And so we went to my cousin's church, and it was really good. We got some people to pray over us and stuff like that. And from there, we decided to go to get a second opinion.
And actually, it was a year later.
A year later.
We didn't do it right away. Needed some time to process. And so the doctor that I had, my OB, actually said that was as far as she could take it. And so the irony about it, guys, I'm laughing, but she had just had twins. So when we kind of started this process, she literally had just had her first kids, and they were twins. And so she was just...
I did not know that.
Yeah, she was just coming back from maternity leave.
That's crazy.
It was extremely ironic, just the conversation along the way. And in my mind, I was thinking, I'm like, and you just had babies, like your first babies kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But she said she had taken it as far as she was capable, at her practice, and that if I wanted to pursue anything further, I would have to go see a specialist. Mm-hmm. So we waited about a year, let it process, and then eventually we decided that we would at least go and get an opinion and see what our options were. When Troy and I got married, I was 30. And so if you do your math, by the time, and we waited a couple of years to start trying, by the time we actually started trying, I was 32, almost 33. And then by the time I got tested and found out that it was going to be more challenging, I was 34, about to turn 35 in 32 days after we found out. So for a woman at 35 is the time when her body starts reverting and getting ready for that period of her life to end. And so
the period of reproduction.
Yes. So and God designed it that way, because who wants to be an 80-year-old woman trying to carry a 10-pound baby? You're already trying to support yourself with frail bones and things like that. So it's very intentional. And so at 35, you're actually considered what used to be called a geriatric pregnancy, but it means that you're a high risk pregnancy. So anytime you have a baby after 35, you are open to a world of complications. Your baby might have some type of deformity or mutation. Your body might handle it a different way, and it might create a complication for you. There's just so many different things. Yeah. So being 35 at that point was a little scary, and it was like, okay, we don't really have time to wait anymore. I get my mourning period, mourning, MOURN, but I don't really have that much time to spare, because at this point, the next time we got tested, I was like 36. So
yeah. And during the course of time, talking about the mourning period, the MOURN, there was a lot of things going on. One of which, and we celebrate this with all of them, but so during this time, a lot of people around us were making the announcements of they're having kids and stuff like that, and of course, we celebrate them immediately, and then after you hear the news, you start to do a little reflection, about yourself, and it's like, man, what about us though? And it seemed like one of those times of where we've forgotten, and it was like a new club was developing of parents, and unfortunately we didn't have the membership to get in, and that was a tough time. That was a pretty tough time. because you want to celebrate. You want to celebrate, and you do. But then, after celebration is, after the hoorah rah, is up, is and gone and whatever, you think about yourself, and you think about, and then this is also at a height of when social media was like really booming, and so the moment, I mean, and it's still like that today, but one of the biggest things that people would use social media as would be to celebrate, big moments of their lives. Hey, I got married. Hey, I just bought a new house. Hey, I got a new kid. And then, but the crazy part about it is, it'd be like, hey, we just got a new kid. Oh, snap. Next year, we got another kid coming along. You know what I'm saying?
I felt like every time we tried my news feed and we found out that we weren't pregnant, my news feed would just have newborn after newborn after newborn in a row. There was one time that we found out that we weren't pregnant, and literally the first 3 pictures in my news feed that same day were newborns. Literally the first 3. It was people announcing their new babies.
Yeah.
So
seeing that, I just shared how I viewed it. What were you thinking when that was happening?
It was hard. It was very hard. Just the whole idea or the thought of watching other people experience something that I couldn't and that I possibly never would was challenging. Seeing a woman who was pregnant, especially now, again, mentioning social media, one of the things that I love looking at is on Pinterest, in different places, and that's the maternity photos. The fact that women now are going and putting on these like long flowy gowns and standing in the middle of wildflowers, and the dress is flowing and they're holding their belly, like they're doing a picture where the dress holds the belly, or the guy and the woman are doing like little hearts on the stomach and stuff like that. And just the thought of, what does that feel like? Like, what is that like? And so it was hard. It was very hard watching women experiencing this and going through it and wanting to be very happy and joyous and stuff. And in the back of my mind being like, I wonder what that's like.
Yeah.
So,
and then on top of that, so cause here's the periods that we went through in our lives. Like, we got married, and then everybody else got married. Yay, celebrate, And then people started having kids. Okay, that's fine. But then it was just like a boom of kids just started just popping out.
All of y'all started having babies within the first 365.
Yes, I'm gonna be honest with you. Hey, kudos to all my friends, because I know what y'all was doing in order to make those babies. Okay, so y'all was getting it in.
Yeah, everyone we knew had a baby somewhere within the first year and a half of marriage.
Shout out to marital intimacy, because that's one thing that we need to celebrate.
Troy's gonna give a plug for that wherever he can.
But it seemed like it was just overwhelming. And then when all of our friends were getting married, we got invited to the weddings. So then once they started having kids, we get invited to the baby showers. And there were even a few baby showers in which Chaka helped put together. And
all this time, I think we had not told anyone we had these issues.
The whole time.
Now,
and let me even add this: we weren't even talking about it really amongst one another. And if we were, I was oblivious. But and I'm actually going to come out and take this opportunity to apologize, because I didn't pursue Chaka very well when it came emotionally during this time, helping her process. First and foremost, Chaka doesn't really process outwardly as much. She's more of an inward type of person. And whenever she does process outwardly, she normally does it privately. So if she ever had like a time where the emotions became too much and she began to cry, Chaka would hide I'm calling you out.
You're calling it hiding.
Chaka would
I would step away.
She would step away and be in a place where she wasn't visibly known. And you know, I never, and I do apologize because I never actually was like, hey, let's talk about this. And I think partially, one, being oblivious, because I thought, you know, like we handled it at this time, you know, when we got the news, you know what I'm saying? I not knowing that this was a continuous thing. So that's one way. And then the other way is, you know, I never, I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was okay, like I had gotten to the point where I accepted the idea.
Mm-hmm.
I said my prayers, you know what I'm saying? Lord, you know, be with my wife, all that type of stuff. Lord, please bless us with a child. But then I'd be okay after that. And I wouldn't actually, it got to a point where I accepted the fact, all right, I might not be a father.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I did, I started putting my focus on other things. And I know that's one of the things that we deal with as men. Like we don't, when things go not the way as planned, instead of taking time and breaking down everything that's going on with us, we just move on to the next thing. And in that process, I felt like we missed an opportunity for us to grow and to get to know one another. And I know for you, like you didn't want to show yourself, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know that you didn't necessarily want to come out and start sharing and to emote in front of me because you were trying to protect me. Why did you feel like it was necessary for you to protect me?
For the reason
I would have married you.
I probably wouldn't
Even
have
though
married
you wouldn't have married me if I had a kid coming into the marriage, even though you wouldn't have married me or dated me,
Mm-hmm.
I still would have married you.
I can't say that I would have married you if I had known beforehand that I couldn't have children. I'm going to be honest. I probably wouldn't have. That's one of those sacrificial things where I would have thought, for the good of the order, I am going to say no to the proposal or no to dating.
I don't think it's okay, yeah, you're right.
I'm not
Women's
saying
rights,
it's
you can do
right.
whatever you
I'm
want
not
to.
saying it's right.
Here's what I would say. I don't think that would have been fair